Today we are ranking the albums of Epica, starting with The Phantom Agony in 2003. Now, some similar complaints about this one as I had of the Nightwish debut. In comparison to the massive sound of their later albums, this just sounds very quaint and the production kind of flat. Simone Simmons still sounds like she's in the formative stages of her voice, and I also don't care for Mike Jansen's choice of guitar tone. The songwriting is fine, but I just don't find it especially engaging. Tracks generally range from, yeah, this is enjoyable enough, to it's kind of dull at times, and I hate all the corny spoken word parts. Standout for me was Elusive Consensus. Maybe this would have hit different for me if I had heard it back when it came out, but at that time I was pretty busy with stuff like Dark Tranquility and In Flames, so this one is going to a good tier. But they followed that up with Consign to Oblivion in 2005. Leaning more into the orchestration for that bigger sound on this one, and with songs inspired by the Maya civilization. Great opener in Dance of Fate with all those epic strings, blasts of brass and choral vocals. Also really enjoy Blank Infinity, Force of the Shore, Mother of Light. Feeling more energy and more dynamics and complexity to the songwriting, though it still has some down moments here and there like Solitary Ground, but even there Simone's voice is quite lovely. Still didn't blow me away, but it's a huge step up from the debut in all departments, if you ask me, and a pretty consistently entertaining listen that begs for revisits. I'm going to put this one at great tier. Well, kind of detour here with the score, An Epic Journey in 2005. Now, this is actually largely an instrumental orchestral score for a Dutch film called Joyride that's largely the work of Mark Jansen and Yves Hutz. And look, I love a good film score when I'm watching a movie or playing a game, but it's rare that I listen to one outside of that context. And if I'm looking to listen to symphonic metal, this just isn't really what I'm in the mood for, so props to them, but it's gonna have to be at the bottom when it comes to the choices available here, so it's going to okay. But back to kind of the main discography, we have The Divine Conspiracy in 2007. Now we're really living up to the band name on this one, starting with The Obsessive Devotion.
It's over 9,000!
Menace of Vanity, bringing more dramatic, opera-worthy choir vocals, and the progression that Chasing the Dragon goes through is wild. Then you have the incredible multi-part The Embrace That Smothers, just loaded with riffs and memorable symphonic moments. Beyond Belief gives me some Therian vibes with its heavier tone contrasted by the soft and sorrowful Safeguard to Paradise, and the vocal melodies on Sancta Terra are also very infectious. Start to finish masterpiece, which is made even more incredible by that lengthy 75-minute runtime. I am putting this one at perfection. They follow that up with Design Your Universe in 2009. Another massive undertaking following very much in the footsteps of the previous album's success. Once more, big bombastic intro with brass and choir alongside more fantastic death and clean vocals alike, and plenty more great songs over another equally packed runtime. Kingdom of Heaven is another more death metal oriented banger with some fun grooves. Tides of Time is just a lovely piano ballad. Semblance of Liberty has some nice ups and downs, and then there's a duet with Tony from Sonata Arctica.
Would you welcome?
I will say that I don't find this one as consistently engaging as the last one, though. That one grips me with every song. This one has a few kind of less amazing sections, which I imagine some will take issue with saying, as I saw the word masterpiece also thrown around quite a bit in regards to this album as well. I think a lot of people would put it at the top. I'm going to put it at fantastic. And as always, these are just my opinions. Please do put your own down in the comments. I'd like to get a discussion going. Just be respectful about it. It's all subjective. But moving on, we have Requiem for the Indifferent in 2012. Not as in love with the opener on this one. Something about the writing and pacing just feels a little bit off, and then the vocal performance on Storm the Sorrow is kind of all over the place with choices made. Honestly, I think that those criticisms apply to much of this album too. Things just lack the same focus and direction I found in the previous two albums, and I saw a lot of comments and reviewers make similar statements about feeling somewhat disappointed with it. There are some cool moments though. I like the thrashier riff later into Internal Warfare. The title track is a standout all around with some cool use of sitar and general Eastern sounding influences, in addition to the more stellar guitar work and choir. Stay the Course has a random super heavy part that seems to come out of nowhere too. Still an impressive affair, even if I wasn't as wowed by it overall. I just don't see as much of this one sticking with me, and so it is going to good tier. I realized I had those albums backwards. Then we got the Quantum Enigma in 2014. Recorded while Simone was caring for her now 8-month-old child and all of the exhaustion that comes with that. And yet she still sounds quite strong. I can't even imagine. Like, I have a hard enough time just doing sort of regular work with my kids. Decent opener in the second stone, but things get really good with the Essence of Silence getting heavy again, both in riffs and death vocals. Sense Without Sanity gets pretty infectious at times, and the vocal melodies on Unchained Utopia are insanely catchy. This is what I was missing on that last album. Love the Mongolian folk vibes of the Fifth Guardian interlude and the epic Chemical Insomnia. Another stunner for me, pretty much beginning to end. It didn't quite make the top, but you could make an argument for it. It's close, but it's going to fantastic. Then we got the Holographic Principle in 2016. The only album with Mark Jansen not playing guitars. He still provides harsh vocals, but guitars here are courtesy of Isaac Delahaye. Solid enough opener in Edge of the Blade. Not their best, but pretty catchy. More great sitar sound and regional atmosphere on A Phantasmic Parade and Universal Death Squad. Simone had said in an interview that they were really going for a lot of variety in the sounds and approach across the board, and I'm definitely hearing that coming through. More expansive and progressive scope to the choir-heavy Ascension, Dream State Armageddon, and title track. More killer riffs on Tear Down Your Walls. Really solid album. I am going to put this one at great tier. Then we got Omega in 2021. The final part of the metaphysical trilogy, begun with 2014's The Quantum Enigma, and recorded in a villa in rural Holland together as a group. Abyss of Time Countdown to Singularity is the trifecta of super catchy sing-alongs, highly aggressive death metal, and massive orchestral atmosphere. This followed by the equally impressive The Skeleton Key, which has one of the most infectious vocal cadences I've heard in their discography, not to mention the proggy little guitar hooks, death growls, and rumbling bass tone that break them up. Seal of Solomon once more takes us in a lush, more eastern direction, joined by head bob-inducing grooves. Both Gaia and Code of Life continue on a strong note, the former dropping just one of many ripping solos and more earworm syncopated chorals towards the end, and the latter taking us again in a more exotic direction with its snake charmer flute, hand drums, and ululated vocals. Then of course there's the 13+ minute epic Kingdom of Heaven Part 3, but honestly I'm more spellbound by the simplistic Rivers, which is my favorite softer song from them at this point. This was actually the first Epica album I listened to, so I'll admit that I'm biased, but I really do think that it's an excellent one and stands up on re-listen, and against comparisons now going through the other albums, finally. I saw the Metal Storm ratings were a little bit lower on this one. It was like a 7.9 or something like that, but I absolutely loved this thing all the way through. Made me interested in checking out all these albums, so it is going to perfection. And that brings us to Aspiral in 2025. Continuing the trend of excellent openers with Cross the Divide, very catchy track from the vocal melodies to the bouncy riffs and earworm symphonic elements. This followed by the equally strong and very dynamic Arcana with its subdued bass-driven verses perfectly offset by its bombastic chorals and soaring chorus. More infectious vocal lines and strings on Fight to Survive as well, and top it off with a straight-up death metal breakdown. I was not expecting that. Simone really takes center stage for Obsidian Heart for a truly Carnegie Hall-worthy performance, capped off with more incredible use of chorals and a surprise gent riff. And speaking of which, there are quite a few excellent highlights for the guitar on this album, with some serious hooks on the likes of Metanoia, A New Age Dawns, and Darkness Dies in Light. Great death metal elements on the former, and synth on the latter, too. Not to mention that Queen-worthy solo on Apparition or proggy, groovy single Time, which frankly is another showcase of everyone's talents in a big way. Some Flesh God Apocalypse vibes and even a surprise theremin feature. The Grand Saga of Existence also makes for another great epic, and while Eye of the Storm isn't one of my favorites, I like the vaguely pirate folk sound to the symphonic elements on that one. And another stunningly stripped back performance for Simone on the title track reminiscent of Rivers, a lovely way to close out an already fantastic album that really drives home the themes of renewal and inspiration. Something that seems sorely needed right now. Honestly, I wasn't sure that they could match the power of the last album, but this definitely makes a case for it. I've already spun this thing like 10 to 15 times and it has only gotten better so far, so I'm actually already leaning towards perfection. It's probably my top 3, at least top 4, and it might need a little bit more time to sink in before making that call, but considering I'm not saying it will, but it's quite possible this could make my top 20 of the year, so I'm kind of leaning towards perfection. Y'all check out this video for my rankings of Nightwish, or this for your personal YouTube recommendation. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.